This is usually the time of the year when we start seeing videos like a day in the life with my iPhone. You wake up half naked on your bed and your phone's right there and you pick it up in its pristine condition without a case. Or you're going out for a jog and you're burning some calories, tracking it. God knows I haven't done that in the longest time ever and I really need to. But the point is, I'm not here to sell you a fantasy, guys. After a few hours, it's just a friggin' phone. With that said though, the 15 Pro is an interesting phone because the whole point of this video, I figured, is to show you guys features that you might actually notice in an actual day-to-day basis when you're using this phone, because let's be honest, it's a piece of metal tech that we're just going to keep in our pockets or scroll on social media or just check our emails and do a bunch of other generic and normal activities. So let's see all the things with the 15 Pro that you actually would notice in a subtle or dramatic manner. Admittedly, this is probably the first time in a long time where I've been very excited to use this iPhone bare naked, because this is the first iPhone in a long time that doesn't actually just become a total fingerprint magnet. Yes, it still captures some degree of fingerprints, but the titanium color I have here does a very good job at resisting them. Unfortunately, this is also one of the most fragile iPhones ever created. That's right, it's easier to break than both the 14 and 13 Pro alike, which means I slapped the case on within like the first 30 minutes of owning this thing. Now, one of the downsides of slapping a case on the 15 Pro is that you might have noticed that Apple actually slightly rounded the corners around the screen as well as the backside to make it more ergonomical in your hand versus the more sharp edges of the 14 Pro. But when you slap a case on, all the form factors are identical to that of the 14 Pro, and that ergonomical benefit kind of fades away, which is a little unfortunate and something that you're just going to have to suck up with most cases. However, I will say the 20 grams lighter weight overall is still something that I do notice in a good way. I do get less hand fatigue. People underestimate 20 grams because of how small of a number it is, but hold your phone for long enough or have enough screen time and the difference is readily visible. Now, one area where you're going to notice no real difference as an everyday user is the camera on the 15 Pro. Look guys, the fact is that the wow factor when you upgrade to a new iPhone with the camera systems is honestly gone. Unless you have a iPhone 14 Pro and you have a spare 10 minutes to spot the minor variation in the color blue or on the sharpness of a specific pixel, the fact is you're going to struggle to tell any real difference if you just solely have your 15 Pro or Pro Max in your hand. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That just means that smartphone cameras have become so darn good that it is much harder to make major progress in the hardware side of things. And unless you're like counting stuff like the 5x optical zoom exclusively on the Pro Max and you have practical uses for that, there's just no real difference a person would notice unless you're doing a side-by-side dramatic comparison. Now, with that said, on the software side though, things are still pretty cool. Take for example portrait mode. The ability to now be able to change the area of focus or the depth post shooting in the edit option is a really cool feature. And of course other features like action mode and a bunch of other software implementations are the real wow factor now with new phones. And I suspect as future iPhones and other smartphones come out, most of the wowing will come from the software side as opposed to the hardware side. Today's video is in partnership with Eskster. Go ahead and toss out that mediocre wallet you've been carrying and get yourself an Eskster wallet. Aside from coming some superb packaging, these things are amazing. Take for example their Parliament wallet with their high quality leather stitching, available in real and vegan options, the ability to carry up to 12 cards, their proprietary eject mechanism, and so many other cool utilitarian features. Or perhaps you're more of a sleek kind of person where you prefer a low profile wallet, check out their Senate card holder series, which comes in aluminum, carbon fiber, and even leather offerings. Again, lots of card carrying capacity, the same proprietary eject mechanism that we've come to love, and so many other cool options. You can find these wallets and so many more on Eskster's website, so make sure you head down there for the latest deals and sales. For this next point, I can already hear the Android users saying, finally, bro? Well, yes, the USB-C port has been an absolute game changer for the 15 series in general. For my day-to-day use case, first and foremost, I do travel a fair bit, and I absolutely despise the fact that previously I had to carry two separate cables, one for all my other modern accessories that actually use a USB-C charging port, and then one, of course, for my iPhone, which was using a older than dinosaurs lightning cable. Now that's all in the past, however, and this also means when I go to my quote-unquote superior Android friend's house, I can actually use their cable to charge my phone, which is nice. I still do get smirks though. However, another great benefit, of course, is the fact that you have more practical benefits with USB-C. For example, you can now use your phone as a power bank and juice up or charge other phones, and vice versa. You can also transfer files to your computer or other data sources faster than ever before, especially on the Pro series. All these benefits have been very tangible to me, and even if you're just using USB-C in the capacity of charging, it's nice not to have to carry separate hardware to charge your phone. Perhaps the most amazing feature on the iPhone has to be the action button. Oh, the action button. Look, here's the thing. I was one of those people when the rumors for the action button came out, I was like, what is this waste youth feature right here? What, a pre-programmable button? How is that special? And yeah, at first glance, when you look at the action button, you're like, you know what? Like, what does it do? Like toggle flashlights, mute your phone? Open up a specific app. It sounds very primitive, but in typical Apple fashion, it's the execution. And aside from having a abnormally cool menu to swap between all these various settings, what makes the action button so darn good is its deep integration with Siri shortcuts. I kid you not, this is the most powerful button we've ever seen on a smartphone. Thanks to the integration Siri shortcuts, you can have primitive stuff like opening certain apps when you have certain focuses on, or just having certain focus or certain actions trigger, or you could create an entire sublist like I have here, which allows you to select through multiple options when you press the action button. Some people have gone even above and beyond and turned into a nice UI where you have multiple options. You can integrate with Apple files. The possibilities are nearly endless, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to do all this. Siri shortcuts is very accessible, and a lot of the common shortcuts can be made by pretty much a 12-year-old, which is of course great, but it's just the way Apple's implemented this that makes it so useful. I have become heavily reliant on the action button, and I do think it is unequivocally one of the best features Apple has added to their smartphones in recent times, and I really hope it makes its way over to the basic 15, I guess technically in the future the iPhone 16 series altogether. Battery life is an area where I feel it's just far too soon to give an absolute verdict on, because in the case of my 14 Pro, by the end I had a mere 86% battery capacity, and in general the 14 Pro had awful battery life. It just wasn't a great experience. Now in contrast, the 15 Pro has been off to a good start. Despite my miserable 7 hours of screen time on average, I know that's terrible, I'm working on it, I'm still able to end the day with around 10 to 12% battery left when I put it on charge. Now that is technically cutting it close, but it is still all day battery life. Now if you're concerned, you can always opt for the larger Pro Max, which has, I believe, over 8,000 milliamp hours extra. So it's 4,000 something. I don't remember the exact number. But that'll give you around 20-25% with my use case where you end the day on a similar phone like that. Nonetheless though, I feel like around the 6-month mark is when I really get to know how well the iPhone 15 Pro is going to be faring in terms of its overall battery life, and we'll also have a better idea of how much deterioration there's been with the battery health as well. So I'll definitely visit that again. Make sure you subscribe so you're aware when I drop that long-term review down the road. Alright guys, so that's honestly every single feature that I have personally noticed in some capacity on the 15 Pro. It has other features, but again, as a daily user, there's a good chance you're not going to notice them or even care about them. If there are features that have impacted your iPhone 15 Pro experience, let me know. And as always, if you enjoyed the content, please consider subbing to this channel. It genuinely helps me grow more than you'll ever know. You guys are absolutely awesome. Have a fantastic day. Catch you in the next one.